So today we're making turkey stroganoff, kind of a lean alternative to beef stroganoff. And I've got a very large yellow onion here that I am going to cut up. For this recipe, we're doing sauteed onions, some mushrooms. The sauce is made from sour cream, amongst other things. And then we like to put it over some delicious egg noodles. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up roughly 1 onion. This was a very large onion, so I'm doing half of it. And I'm going to saute this in a little bit of olive oil and butter until it's nice and caramelized. So I've got all my onions cut up. And next I'm going to cut up some portobello mushrooms. These are baby bellas. And I like to get these all wiped off when I get them home. So they come in this like plastic container. So I will dump them out, wipe them off, and then I will line that same plastic container with some paper towels. And then I just store them in the refrigerator with paper towels over the top. That way they don't get all slimy and gross. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up some of these baby bellas also for my turkey stroganoff. So I'm just going to cut these little ends of the stem off and then I will slice these up. I've also got a pot of water over on the stove going so that I can get my egg noodles cooked up. And we don't want to cook those al dente. So we'll get these all chopped up. So I've got my mushrooms and my onion cut up. I'm just grabbing some fresh parsley here so I can get that cut up as well. And then we'll also use turkey. So I'm using for this recipe 1.5 pounds of ground turkey. And it is 85% fat. Alright, so now that I've got all my vegetables chopped up, we're going to head over to the stove and we'll get cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and heat my pan up here on medium high. And you can use olive oil or vegetable oil. I'm going to put some oil in the pan. It's going to be for our onions. And then I'm also going to add just a little bit of butter, about a tablespoon. And once this oil and butter melts down, then I'll go ahead and add in my onion. And I want these to be nice and caramelized. So now that we've got our butter and oil nice and melted, I'm going to go ahead and add in the onion. And we're going to go ahead and let this saute. I'm going to bump the temperature down just a tiny bit because I don't want these to burn. I want them to caramelize. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to help with that caramelization process. So we'll go ahead and let that continue to, and then over here I've got a Dutch oven with water in it, and it's heavily salted like the sea. And this is what I'm going to cook my egg noodles in. So I've got my egg noodles here. This is a 1 pound bag of noodles. I'm gonna go ahead and put half in. Roughly half. That's going to give me 4 servings. So I'm going to go ahead and let these boil until they get al dente. Okay, it has been 5 minutes and I just want to check and see where we're at with the noodles. Definitely al dente. Going to take this off, drain it, and I will put some room temperature water on it to prevent it from continuing to cook. And then I've got my onions still caramelizing. Next I'm going to go ahead and add my ground turkey. So about a half a pound of ground turkey here. And I'm going to go ahead and break that up right into my onions. Then mix my onions in with it. And if you're not a big fan of onions, you could always reduce the amount. I'm going to go ahead and salt my ground turkey. And I heavily salted it, as you saw, because our egg noodles are very bland, and that's going to get mixed in with this, so this dish can stand a fair amount of salt. I go ahead and put in some fresh ground pepper. I'm also going to add in a couple dashes of Worcestershire sauce, just to add a little umami flavor to our stroganoff, especially since we're not using beef. So we'll just add a little extra flavoring. Obviously, if you like beef, you can substitute the ground turkey or beef. You could also substitute ground chicken for the ground turkey. So I'm just going to let this turkey brown before we add our mushrooms. So we'll go ahead and let that brown. All right, so our ground turkey looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add in my baby bellas, and we'll get those to cook down a little bit. And I'm going to mix this all up in my Dutch oven. So we're just going to let those baby bellas cook down a little bit. I'm also going to add some of our parsley, and we'll just cook those until those mushrooms cook down a little bit. All right, so our mushrooms are looking very good. Put a little bit of salt on there. I have a beef bouillon cube here that I just dissolved in some warm water that I'm going to go ahead and add on to that. You could also use a chicken bouillon cube. It's just going to give it quite a bit more flavor. And now at this point, I'm going to let this cool down for a second. I'm just going to turn this off. I'm going to get my noodle positioned here in my bowl. I'm going to give them a quick rinse just to warm them up. And then I'll come back and we'll combine everything. So I'm going to go ahead and take my meat mixture here, and I'll go ahead and add that right into my noodles. So we're tossing that with those egg noodles. And I'm going to start out with a cup of sour cream, and then I'll just kind of see how creamy it gets and taste it and kind of adjust from there. You could also use creme fraiche, which is a little more mild than a sour cream. Mix that in. You're also going to want to taste it so you can salt and pepper it. Those noodles are really going to soak up that cream cheese, or the sour cream. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more. So about a half a cup. We like it really saucy. All that goodness. This is not a fat-free dish. Although we're using ground turkey, so it's a little bit more healthy. All right, let's give this a taste. Some of that goodness in there. Very good. Definitely needs a little bit more salt. Remember, we have all those noodles in there, and noodles are very bland. I'm going to go ahead and grind in some fresh cracked pepper. Give it a stir, and we should be good to go. That looks delicious. And that is how you make turkey stroganoff.